To call to order the Albany City Council meeting for March 16th, 2026. Vice Mayor Hanson Romero, would you please read the land acknowledgement?
The City of Albany recognizes that we occupied the land originally protected by the Confederated Villages of Lejeune. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions, which have transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home.
Thank you. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Jordan.
Here.
Councilmember Lopez is absent. Councilmember Mickey.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hanson Romero.
Here.
Mayor McQuaid.
Here. There is no closed session. There are no ceremonial matters tonight. So may we please have the city manager report?
Thank you, Mayor. This evening is March 16th, 2026. If you may recall, 6 years ago in this same room, what the council did was very dramatic in adopting an emergency resolution to declare a local emergency due to COVID-19. I think that we can say we've had quite a bit of progress, success, and failures throughout that entire period. Really just want to recognize the City Council for your leadership and tenacity during that period and ongoing, and of course our city staff who quickly assembled into disaster preparedness and emergency operations and really just flying through the unknown together, build an even stronger team through our community. I'm glad we're 6 years out of it now. Our police department representatives recently presented at one of our high school classes. Officer Danny Ho, Officer Paul Barbosa, Dispatcher Christina Saturn, and Property Specialist Candace Grant to assist in classroom crime scene day experience. Really great opportunity for our students to get to know our officers, understand the profession, understand how to build those relationships, and to learn about crime scenes as well. So appreciation to our team for that work and being able to attend the school district's high school classes. A note to the community, stop waste regulatory fee is being added to garbage bills beginning July 1st, 2026. This will be included on the waste management bills. It is not due to waste management collection service. This is a fee for this nonprofit agency who helps the county as a whole with regard to waste reduction and diversion from our landfills. It's essential to continue those programs on an ongoing basis. It'll be about $2 a month. For more information on this fee, please check stopwaste.org's website /regulatory fee. We are thrilled to be kicking off the park asset inventory and condition assessment, as well as the Albany Community Parks Open Space and Recreation Survey. These are to look for further opportunities to enhance our underutilized space in our tiny city that is full of recreation interest. So please check for that survey. It should be going live through our news on the website, and it will be a very helpful tool to understand existing, new, creative thinking of community in terms of what type of recreation we want to make sure we are facilitating here in the city with regard to park improvements, playing courts, and so on and so forth. A program through Alameda County Homes Department for minor home repair grants as well as other grant programs is now available. This includes the minor home repair grant, grants up to $3,000 for urgent health and safety issues, as well as a program coming soon, older adult home modification program that provides grants up to $5,000 for services for low-income owner-occupied homes that are 62 years or older homeowners or may have a disability. More information on these programs is available on the county's website, ACHHD.org, or you can always reach out to our Albany Cares team for assistance. A regional fair housing workshop is scheduled this Friday online, March 20th. Echo Housing will conduct an online free housing training for tenants, landlords, and other members of the housing industry and general public. Visit echofairhousing.org/events for more information and to register. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any council questions, comments? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Any online? Someone just raise their hand.
This is for public comment for the city manager's report.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I have a general comment, not necessarily about the city manager's report. Should I wait until later?
Yes, could you please wait until the next item?
Will do.
Thank you very much. That's it. That brings us to item 6, good of the city, public comment. Persons desiring to address the city council on an item that is not on the agenda. Please note city policy limits each speaker to up to 3 minutes. The mayor may reduce the time limit per speaker depending upon the number of speakers. Brown Act limits the council's ability to take and/or discuss items that are not on the agenda. Therefore, such items may be referred to staff for comment or to a future agenda. Comments related to items appearing on the agenda are taken up at the time the city council deliberates each action item. The mayor will announce when the period for public comment is open on each agenda item. We have public comment in the room.
Yes. Stephen Alpert. Then it's Celeste Marks, and following that will be Mark Forbes.
Should I start over?
We heard you.
All right. Moreover, Albany does not require posting signs at the project site detailing the proposed structure. As documented, other California cities have increased public notice to 500 or 1,000 feet with alerts mailed 15 days before a first hearing. Alerting only those within 300 feet allows the Planning and Zoning Commission to propose, and the council then push through new projects, no matter how inappropriate, with minimal awareness and input from the community. Such was the case for the uninspired, oversized, 5-story mixed commercial residential modern box proposed for 1600 Solano. Only 73 properties were alerted about this project, which is clearly neither functionally appropriate nor harmonious with its surroundings, in total violation of Albany's Planning and Zoning mission statement, shown here. At the last meeting, we focused on the process by which 1600 Solano was approved, which was clearly inappropriate. How so? State Law 330 allows for up to 5 city meetings to consider a project, but in 2022, the P&Z Commission and the council pushed through this highly controversial project during single sessions. Video review of the April P&Z meeting reveals far more discussion on bicycle storage than on the building's exterior. Shown here is a recently completed remodel of a home on Santa Fe Avenue with fake wooden beams as an homage to the neighboring structures. Density bonus allowed for 1600 Solano to have increased height, no setback, and no resident parking. Nonetheless, the P&Z Commission had the responsibility to guide the submitted plan toward greater compatibility and an homage to the neighboring Craftsman-era structures and failed to do so. During the single June 1st council meeting devoted to 1600, 43 individuals expressed legitimate concerns about the project, and then Vice Mayor Tiedemann noted the intensity of feelings expressed in the many forwarded emails. Despite overwhelming opposition and multiple calls for continuance, then Mayor Jordan called for immediate approval of the project as submitted. The video of the June 1st meeting documents numerous individuals concerned about the increased traffic congestion at the dangerous Tacoma, Ordway, Solano intersection, and the risk of injuries due to the lack of a drop-off area for children attending the applicant's ground floor orthodontist practice. Incredibly, former community development under bond offered that, in his opinion, the project would not result in increased traffic congestion. There was no factual basis for that statement, as no traffic study was conducted.
Thank you
Celeste
for your
will continue.
comments.
Good evening. I am Dr. Celeste Marks. As documented, despite overwhelming opposition and calls for continuance, both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Council pushed through this controversial project during single sessions. The meeting videos clearly show that the Planning and Zoning Commission, Community Development staff, and the Council outright ignored and or downplayed the community's legitimate concerns regarding 1600 Solano. In November 24, Albany residents appear to have registered their displeasure at city officials who disregard their concerns. There is no legal reason preventing Albany from expanding public notification for new construction, and the council has run out of excuses why it refuses to address this issue. If this council genuinely believes that alerting only those within 300 feet of all new construction just 10 days before the first hearing is appropriate, then defend this practice. Submit 300-foot notification as a meeting agenda item to allow for extended, in-depth public discussion. At the last meeting, this last sentence garnered applause from the audience. While density bonus may allow for 5-story structures on Solano Avenue, we and many others remain opposed to the ill-conceived design of 1600 Solano, which is utterly inappropriate for the site, and appalled by the manner in which this project was railroaded through. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council.
Thank you for your comments.
Mark? Mark? After Mark would be Dee Dee Pansino, Peter Campbell, and Elaine Stelton.
Hello, my name is Mark Forbes. I'm a housing provider in Albany. The family's been a housing provider for over 40 years. And we're asking for your help. We are trying to comply with your request that we have our building retrofitted. It's going to cost us over $200,000 for this retrofit. We've contacted the city, to contact the city for state assistance, which I understand there's funds available. And so we've contacted the community development analyst 4 times, left her 4 messages, 4 emails. She refuses to contact us, to call us back, anything. So we're stuck. She did help us get our building permit, so we have the building permit. But here we are, we're over $200,000 for a retrofit project, which does need to be done. I will say that. However, I think the city should contact the state for the funds that are available. Just we need someone from the city to please contact the state and request the funds. We've given to Albany for over 40 years. We're just asking for a little help from the city of Albany. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee Pansino. I'm an Albany resident, fairly long-term. I'm here on behalf of Friends of Albany Library, mostly today. I have a PAPCO event, too. Albany Library launched a 3-month-wide reading and event experience inspired by the poet and the Silk Girl. And this is a memoir of love, imprisonment, and protest during World War II. Through films, art, poetry, history talks, and cultural programs and conversations on civil liberties and belonging, Albany Reads invites neighbors of all ages to learn from the past and imagine a more just future together. Given the current national political climate, the Albany Reads events are timely, topical, educational, interesting, and inspiring. So I'm going to read off the ones that we've got coming up and hope you can attend. They're really, really good. So this Wednesday, we've got Children of the Camps documentary sharing personal experience of Japanese incarcerated during World War II. This was filmed during a 3-day therapeutic workshop. led by psychologist and educator Dr. Satsuki Ina, who's the author of the book. This is, people there talk about witnessing their parents' suffering, ruptures within their families, and the lasting emotional impact of the incarceration. So this is something that is again kind of repeating itself now in a different way with the current climate. So definitely worth going to. Then Albany Reads, that's Wednesday, 3/18 from 6 to 8. And then Albany Reads Albany Library Book Club, The Poet and the Silk Girl, Saturday the 21st from 1 to 3. We are giving away free copies of the book at the library, so you can get them. The library also has copies as well. And then Paratransit Advisory and Planning Committee of Alameda County, PAPCO, is co-hosting an event with BART, and this will be for vision impaired or blind people to kind of see how a BART station works, see how it is to get on a BART train if you're visually impaired, and how to get off and how to be safe and ride. So this is really, really good. This is Wednesday the 25th from 12 to 1:30. This is at the 19th Street BART station. So if you know anyone who this might be useful for, I think it'd be a good thing. We also have, a DEI Women in Male-Dominated Fields, Wednesday the 25th from 7 to 8. During that, I'll share my real-life experience working in IT and how I got there and what it was like and all the challenges.
Thank you for your comments.
And thank you, everybody.
I'd like to second Dee Dee's comments on the Friends of the Albany Library program. It's been excellent so far, and I'm looking forward to the future installments of that program. They've been great, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of that opportunity. Things I wanted to mention tonight have to do with the housing element and the housing discussions that have been going on. And I'm still concerned about the lack of data that's available or that has been obtained in regards to the housing in Albany. There's talk about having a rent registry at some point. I'm concerned about having a rent registry because how do you know who to register a rent on when you don't even know who is renting out a property? There are so many properties in Albany which are rented, and nobody has any idea except the property owner that in fact they are being rented. And a rent registry is not going to find those properties. So I don't know what the answer is on how the city can do that, but I think the city needs to devote some energy to that, to finding out what properties are registered, or what properties are rented that don't have business licenses, that are under the radar, so to speak, and get that data before you can implement a lot of these things that are being discussed. Also, I'm concerned about the statistics that are used during the discussions. There's a lot of talk about the number of rental units in Albany, and I think the number is somewhere around 3,000 rental units. That includes Albany Village, which is university-owned, and Belmont Village, which is a private business, and Saha, which is a regulated entity. And I don't think those particular rental properties have any business being considered as far as any rental policy is concerned by the city, because the city has basically no control over those in terms of the rental. So I encourage you to get real data and consider which properties are being considered when you consider a rental property, because not all rental properties are really under the purview of the City of Albany. So thank you very much, and I look forward to future consideration.
Thank you for your comments.
After Elaine will be Dawn Kawamoto.
Hi, good evening. Just wanted to mention that the UC system is worth billions of dollars. They are powerful. They have become a monopoly in student housing. You can see what it looks like when a large entity comes into Albany and doesn't care about the tenants or the community and doesn't have any stake in it. What we are trying to do is create a scenario where mom and pops can remain in Albany. And to that end, I am going to echo what Mr. Forbes said, which is he has a $200,000 earthquake retrofit. I myself, on every occasion we met with the city, asked the city, please find the funds. We know they're available because we know Berkeley property owners have received them. Please find these same funds for Albany property owners. Since the city has failed to do that, I'm here asking all of you to put a pause on the program until you ascertain whether you can get those funds or not. It doesn't hurt you in any way to push back the program a little bit and see whether you can get those funds. I myself did an earthquake retrofit before it was even a glimmer in Preston Jordan's eyes. I did it even though I had earthquake insurance. I did it even though I don't have a soft story. So I'm not standing up here for myself. I also just want to mention that we are competing against this large corporation in essence. We don't want other large corporations to take over in Albany. We are providing a community service, and you are asking us to provide top-tier accommodations for residents while you are simultaneously asking us to cap our rents. We pay for repairs, we pay for upgrades, so we're urging you to be fair to us. With regard to Albany Village, and really UC Berkeley, they were actually misers with the City of Albany. They gave you guys $400,000. That's not even enough for one ladder truck. They use our libraries, they use our parks, and they are just a huge corporate entity that is not providing what they should to Albany. They have an expedited eviction process, and yet you want a tiny single-family homeowner to have a more stringent eviction process than UC Berkeley. How on earth do you think that's fair? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Dawn Kawamoto. I'm an Albany resident, and I am very concerned about the just cause for eviction that was discussed at the last council meeting that would now include single-family homes. They would now fall under, if the council does ultimately pass this as a law, single-family homes, ADUs, they would now be subjected to the state's just cause for eviction laws. And because most are homeowners, mom and pops, they're not as familiar with the laws. And I would highly, highly encourage you that on every building permit for an ADU, it's disclosed that they will be subject to just cause for eviction laws, and spell out, have a link to what those laws are, those local laws are. So they're not gonna build an ADU and then find out later, oh, look what I'm subject to. They're not gonna know. You need to educate them ahead of building. So put it on the building permits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nick Peterson. I'm a member of the Albany Climate Action Coalition. And I just want to wish you all a wonderful, warm winter evening. As we can tell by in March having 80-degree weather, things are not going well as far as our climate. And I want to remind the city that we are in a climate crisis and we've declared a climate emergency. It seems like we should be jumping to, just as the city manager discussed when COVID came into play and was seen as a very immediate and direct threat. The problem with climate change is that the carbon stacking we're putting in the atmosphere now, which will be around for thousands of years, we can't pull out, and we just keep putting it in, and the results are cycling very slowly. I listened to a climate scientist from UC Berkeley this morning discussing how our current condition with this heat dome that's over most of California, especially Southern California, is really a big crisis and a big deal. This is the hottest, I mean, we're shattering records since we've even been keeping records over 100 years. So climate change is real, it's disastrous. It takes big efforts to make even the most smallest impact. The next few years, probably less than 5, are critical ones to do as much as we can. And I personally, as a resident of Albany for over 30 years, would like to see our city still lead in this area, but I don't see it. You know, I don't get that sense, and I follow what the city is doing pretty closely. Things seem to be a bit bureaucratic and still not moving along in an expedited fashion. So I encourage you to every session bring up climate change, what we're doing, and have a report. I mean, otherwise we're just going to lose track of it. Someone in the city needs to be an absolute champion of this. It'd be nice if it was the city manager. And, you know, we really need to take this seriously. I'll be talking again when we come to our strategic plan goals, because addressing climate change is goal number 1. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. This is Francesco Papalia. In June of 2024, University of California and the City of Albany came up with a $400,000 a year compensation agreement for the services that the City of Albany provides to UC Village. At that time, there were 582 units. When you do the math, 400,000 divided by 582 is $687 per unit. That's not very much money in terms of tax compensation. Last year, an additional 671 units of graduate student housing was finished and occupied. Now we have 1,313 units with an average of $304 per unit compensation. And that's to cover schools, parks, fire and emergency, not police, because they have their own police, climate action projects, libraries, the community center, all the fabulous activities that the City of Albany provides for all of our residents. And yet, the city is paying between $300 and $600 per unit. I mean, this is kind of a joke for me, a taxpayer who's been paying taxes for almost 40 years now. Now, some of you up there have tax bills, and in your tax bill, even the fixed rate costs, the fixed charges, are anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500 per year. And they're compensating us a tenth of that or less just on the fixed rate charges. Never mind the ad valorem charges go to the county and the city and our schools. So I wish someone in the city council would pick up the ball on this and explain to the citizens why this deal is a good deal and why it shouldn't be renegotiated. And I think it needs to be renegotiated in a way that is better for the City of Albany for all the services that we provide. That would be the right thing to do if you actually cared about their UC paying their fair share. And that's what I've been working on all along, even when I was on the Financial Advisory Committee, is to have this UC pay their fair share. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name's Jean Wu. I am a resident of Albany and a member of the Albany Climate Action Coalition. And I wanted to express some concern that the Climate Action Committee, which should be meeting every month, seems to be missing a lot of meetings. My first thought was people got sick, but they can't be sick every month. So I think there needs to be some attention paid to reinvigorating the Climate Action Committee and providing them and you with a closer relationship so that they can provide more information and more direction or advice or counsel to input more information into the decision making that goes on in the city and to provide more information to the members of the community about what the city is doing with regard to climate. Thank you.
Thank you for your thank you for your comments.
Hello, I am David Offenbrown. I live on Pomona Avenue in Albany. And I am also very concerned about climate change. And I want to emphasize that I am glad that Albany is working to combat climate change, and I want it to go further. I am glad that the City Council on March 2nd has authorized more money for our heat pump rebate program and starting to get public EV chargers installed in Albany. I urge the council to continue this work by applying for and handling and funding a resilience center, create decarbonization zones as authorized by Senate Bill 1221. These actions are part of meeting Goal 1 of the City Council Systemic Plan, which has been mentioned by Nick Peterson. And I also share with him the urgency of combating climate change. I urge that the City Council take continued action toward fulfilling that goal number 1, which is reduction of greenhouse gas pollution and adapting to climate change. And I think that a reduction of greenhouse gas pollution is of particular importance. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. This is Lucinda Young, a longtime Albany resident and a member of the Albany Climate Action Coalition. I would like to echo the comments made by Nick Peterson earlier, as well as the comments just made by David Offenbrown and Jean Wu. I have a few concerns. I would like to share Jean Wu's concern about the numerous cancellations in recent months of the Climate Action Committee meetings. There was a cancellation in December, and we had a meeting in January. Then there was another cancellation in February. We're scheduled for a meeting this week, and then we've been informed that there will be no meeting in April. At last, I think 2 city council meetings ago, if I'm recalling correctly, our city manager explained that there was no Climate Action Committee meeting because there was no substantive agenda to be discussed. We are in a climate emergency. We are right now experiencing record heat in March. There is unprecedented heat wave. We're shattering heat records all over the Southwest. Arizona and Nevada are in triple digits. I cannot believe that there are no substantive issues that need to be discussed. So I would like to see us return to regular monthly meetings. I understand that occasionally people get sick and things happen, but there have been far too many cancellations given the seriousness of the matter that needs to be dealt with. And I would also like to express I see a need for staff to be informed and educated more thoroughly about the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan and the Climate Emergency Plan. It has been concerning for me to hear from staff that they disagree with the heat pump rebates, that it's a waste of city money to be spending on heat pump rebates. In addition, very concerning to hear staff repeat climate skepticism and climate denial, such as the increase in extreme weather events like hurricanes have nothing to do with the burning of fossil fuels, but are simply a natural event. I understand the confusion because there is a $1 billion campaign by the fossil fuel industry and the MAGA group to convince people that there is doubt about climate change. The Albany Library hosted an excellent film, which was sponsored by the Rotary and the Albany Climate Action Coalition, Merchants of Doubt, which was all about the doubt that is being sold to the public.
Lucinda, thank
I'd
you
like
for your
to see
comments.
some attention to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Staff, is there any response to any of the items raised?
Sure, Mayor. First, I'd like to respectfully request that we focus on issues and not people. I think that's important for this forum and all public forums. Our city staff works incredibly hard on a number of initiatives and core services. And actually, you'll hear from them in just a few moments as we present the progress achieved towards your strategic plan. With regard to the seismic retrofit funding, I will begin looking into that and will absolutely ensure that we follow up. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, I thought it might be useful if the city manager is willing to say something about how the city is pursuing the rented residences that don't have a business license.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Progress on that.
Definitely. We have retained the services of HDL as our new business license provider, who will also be providing a number of other services. One of the audits that is actually already underway is to do exactly that, look for rental properties within the city that do not have business licenses, and then follow up with those property owners to ensure business licenses are retained. So that work is already underway.
Mayor, if you would, there were various statements made about how much the UC is contributing to Albany, and those weren't accurate, so I'm wondering if the city manager would be willing to share the information of how much UC is contributing and when that started and what UC contributed before that.
Would you be prepared to do that, or would you like to bring it back later?
Happy to bring it back. It is $600,000, $200,000 of which is for equipment, public safety equipment. The span of the agreement is approximately 10 years. We're almost to the midway point of that, and we are actively engaged with UC and can have conversations about reconsidering need.
Okay, that brings us to consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. By approval of the consent calendar, staff recommendations will be adopted unless otherwise modified by the Council. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or a member of the audience requests removal of these items from the consent calendar. Any council members wish to push an item, pull an item?
7.6, please.
7.6. Councilmember Mickey, anything? Are there any members of the public that wish to pull an item?
Do have one speaker card for 7.6 also,
Okay.
and one online. Should I go ahead and?
Yeah, go ahead and get that one.
Yeah, so 7.6, the housing element.
Okay, that's already been,
I'd like,
all right, that's been pulled, thank you.
thank you, great.
Okay, Councilmember Jordan, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So a few questions. The status of Huichin Rue and whether those residences, this is the new student residence building in University Village, whether those residences count towards Albany meeting its 6th cycle RENA goals is mentioned in the staff report, and I'm just kind of curious to hear more about how that process is going. If can.
So UC housing or UC owned housing does not count towards our RENA goals. So they are part of the city. The residents are city residents, but the actual housing units do not count.
So is that already closed out because it's actually a private for-profit corporation that owns and develops the buildings?
No, it's because it's the University of California. Same with any school district properties that build housing for teachers would not count as well. So they are exempt from local rules and the RENA guidelines, which we have been collaboratively working with some other jurisdictions that have a high percentage of student housing to try to get them to count towards our RENA. So we are still working on that, but so far it has not been successful.
If I may add, that's definitely on the radar of Cal Cities as well.
Okay. Because I asked because under the former long-serving and now retired community development director, there was some thought that it couldn't be counted beforehand, but once it was built, maybe it could be counted. Again, because it's American Campus Communities, it's a private for-profit corporation. I'm gathering staff has concluded an answer that it's not going to be able to count, that's foreclosed.
That is correct. At this time, we still
Okay.
are.
Okay, thank you. Programs 4A, B, and D, which are to consider zoning changes to facilitate residential development in various parts of the city, are indicated as not having been initiated yet. And I'm just curious what, if any, plan or timeline is there to initiate those programs?
So these are 3 programs. One is for modification of residential zoning standards. So that is 4A. 4B is to evaluate potential changes to the R2 zoning. And 4C is a San Pablo Avenue commercial zoning revision. I mean, not San Pablo, Solano, excuse me. So at this point, we are looking to see, due to resources, the grant funding that was available in the last cycle of our housing element are just not available anymore. When we did the San Pablo specific plan, we received SB2 funding through HCD. And those efforts are quite significant in terms of resources that the city does not quite have. So what we are focusing on, I have them highlighted because I too would love to work on these, but what we are focusing on are the areas where we can move forward, which includes trying to promote the San Pablo corridor for development. I think now is the time to do it. Hopefully the financial market will be turning, so we would like to do a lot more outreach. That is also with some of our state programs for SB 9, SB whatever, the 10-lot subdivision. So we have a lot of state programs that allow higher densities. I was looking with our 10-lot subdivision law. It allows up to 10 units subdivision on any multifamily zoned lot. So for a 5,000 square foot lot, I did a little bit of math. It's about a density of 85 units per acre, which exceeds the housing program elements. So again, that doesn't mean that we are stopped looking for, we still have our eyes and our ears open to look for funding opportunities. And in the meantime, we're working with the resources we can to accomplish what we can, which hopefully will come up in our next item.
Thank you, and I think maybe we didn't introduce you when you.
Oh, I apologize.
So
I'm
much.
Leslie Mendez, and I'm the planning manager.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
I want to make sure to get that out there. Let's see. The implementation entry for program 3A, which has to do with basically convening a roundtable of nonprofit developers to collaborate, motivate on developing affordable residences for seniors. The implementation entry in that refers to like an outreach event at the senior center, and indicates that program is completed, but implementation doesn't seem to match what the program is. So I'm kind of curious about that disconnect.
Implementation doesn't match what the program is. So we are outreaching where we can to affordable housing developers. Again, with the current financial market, we have not been successful, but we will be following up with all opportunities that we see in the future. So I'll have to relook at what is noted on the spreadsheet to ensure that there is consistency. So thank you for pointing that out.
Sure. And those are my questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anything over here? Mr. Papalia, did that answer any of your questions? Still somewhere?
Well, he can't talk right now.
He can't talk. He's busy.
We do have one in the audience.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Dawn Kawamoto, Albany resident. I had a question regarding the ADUs in this report for affordable housing. And I was very happy to see there was one ADU that got a permit to be very low income, two for low income, and one for moderate income for an ADU. And what I'm wondering is, you know, if the city can do something to publicize this more, if people are going to be building ADUs in Albany, which would bring more housing to the city, what kind of support, they should know about any kind of incentives the city offers if you build an ADU that will be helping very low income or, you know, low or moderate income. If you offer any incentives, you should highly advertise that for people when they're filling out their permits to get an ADU. And then also, if the city would take a serious and hard look at educating landlords about Section 8 housing and the benefits of offering Section 8 housing, because, you know, or any type of affordable housing, you know, the kind of incentives. So putting together an information packet, you know, to like provide to them, like, this is why this would be a good idea. And that would increase the affordable housing metrics that you have to meet too. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, looking,
Hi.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Francesco.
Okay. So first, I have a personal thing where I have a problem with acronyms, and RHNA is Regional Housing Needs Allocation. And it would be helpful if you use the full name when you're trying to communicate to the public, because I can assure you that 90% of the people out there don't know what RHNA was, unless someone spells it out to them. Now, first, I'd like to comment that I appreciate the clarification of $600,000 a year rather than $400,000 a year, but that raises the compensation to $452 per unit from $304 per unit, and still that's not satisfactory.
Francesco, that's not the agenda topic. Could you keep your comment, please, to the agenda topic, which is item 7-6.
Okay, so RHNA is, I think someone from the city should contact Jesse Aragin, who is our state's representative. He understands this issue very clearly as to how Berkeley has been adversely affected by not being able to accommodate this kind of housing as part of their allotment that they need to supply. And we provide all of the services for these units, these 1,300 units. And if they're affordable units, they should count for us. And I don't accept the answer that, well, they just said no. Well, who said no? Who is the person who sits there up on their office and say, no, you can't do this. We don't care whether there's 1,000, 1,300, and you're a population of 8, we only have 3,000, 3,500 units total. We won't let you count any of these towards our RHNA goals. We need a city council and staff to be aggressive advocates in this, because we should be getting credit for this. We are paying for it. We're paying for it dearly with all of the amenities that we provide for these low market rate housing that's provided by the university. And that was built and provided on our city land. And please just don't accept the no's and I'd like to find out who said no. So please let me know who said no. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. So with that, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mayor, may I respond?
You must.
So in terms of the student housing, Sarah Green's office is aware of this. I have spoken with them several times. In terms of what counts, student housing, that was a decision that was made. It is an interpretation. 6th cycle is closed. It is a discussion point for cycle 7. And one of the conversation points was whether it was student housing or if it was student housing that is provided on a year-round basis. In other words, are you a student who's renting it on a semester basis, or are you a student that's signing a 12-month lease? Because those two types of housing have different impacts on a community. A 12-year month lease essentially means that you are freeing up housing within the community that otherwise might have been taken by a student who would only rent, who would rent, versus on a semester basis. It's a different process. So it is being talked about, but it is a black box that we can continue to provide input and requests of, but that is my understanding of the discussion that's happened so far.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
Yes, I will move the consent calendar with the additional direction to staff to check that the implementation of Housing Element Program 3A matches the actual requirements of the program and adjust if necessary.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
May we have a roll call?
Vice Mayor Hanson Romero,
Yes.
Mayor McQuaid,
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan,
Yes.
Councilmember Mickey,
Yes.
and the motion carries.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 8, presentation. Presentation on the council strategic plan, April 2025 to March 2027. And I want to just take a minute to explain what we're going to do tonight so that we're all on the same page. First, we will have a staff report by a variety of staff. Those of you that are not here, the house is full of staff people. It's great. They should come more often. You will go through the entire presentation. Council will then ask questions on goal number 1. Staff will respond to that. We'll open public comment on goal number 1 only. We'll repeat that process all the way through until we finish goal number 6. At that time, staff will respond to any of the items raised by the public, and then council will bring it back for discussion, and there's no action to be taken. Y'all got it? So with that, may we have any staff reports, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I will introduce the item and also introduce our staff team through each goal. You are familiar with your strategic plan, but I will give you a brief overview as part of the presentation. This is about a 2-year plan with a little wiggle room on each side to make sure we can get as much done in a council term and then turn over in a couple years as new seats for the council may be filled or refilled. So this aims to coincide with your term, so to speak, and also the vision that you bring to the city council and the community based on your constituents and the overall issues that we raise and find so many as high priorities, as you've heard and as our staff hears every day. I hope and I am confident that this staff report, when read, demonstrates a significant amount of progress made for a very, very small city with very limited resources. So I would encourage those that may not have had an opportunity to read through this 10-page report, or maybe it's 12 pages. There's a significant amount of work in here, and none of this is necessarily easy or straightforward. There's a lot of moving parts to many of these programs and projects. Funding limitations, other things coming up throughout the day or week or month. So really appreciation to our team for continuing to persist through all of that work together, and really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. With that, we'll dive into the actual presentation with slides and images for those that like images. And again, a reminder on what the strategic plan is and where it sits in our overall operations. It is a policy document of goals and objectives by the City Council to establish priorities and help lead the work of your staff group in addition to the core services delivered day in, day out. A reminder on how we work together. Really, that water line is the threshold, give or take, with the council as the governing body visioning the city's future, and with that, goals and priorities as established in part through your strategic plan, among other work, and really working through staff initiatives and other programmatic policy level opportunities. The routine day-to-day work of the city is under that water line with all of the other objectives. As a reminder, your strategic plan has 6 high-priority goal areas, ranging from climate change initiatives and adaptation, housing quality, transportation and safety, community connectivity and diversity, equity and inclusivity, revenue and economic development to sustain our core city services, and facilitating public health, safety, and resiliency. With Goal 1, we have 3 staff members who will be presenting in this overall topic area. And I understand it is of absolute interest, and I will reiterate that we are in a climate emergency as the council has declared. You'll see that written in the staff report. I know our staff addresses that concern day in and day out. So for this goal, we have Michelle Klaus, Community Development Analyst, Mark Hurley, Public Works Director, and Devora Zouter, Program Manager, who will be providing different pieces of this overall report in Goal 1.
Thank you, Nicole. Good evening, City Council. As Nicole mentioned, we have been doing a lot of work related to this goal, so I'll just touch on a few of the highlights and some of the major projects we've been working on. The first of which is our continued work on the gas line decommissioning pilot program. This is funded by our grant from the Department of Energy. And we've been making great progress on this, doing a lot of hard work with community outreach, on the ground, door-to-door work, community engagement through workshops. We found some really great community champions, and we've also focused in on one of the 3 blocks we've selected that really seems like the most promising. And we have a lot of hope that it might be able to get all the way to this decommissioning project. We've also recently started doing the energy efficiency and electrification analyses of some of the buildings to determine the scope and cost of what the actual electrification would take. So we started to make progress there as well. And we've also been paying very close attention to SB 1221, which requires that PG&E and the other gas companies in the state do similar types of pilot programs. This is still very much in the works, and the details are being sorted out, but we're hopeful that this might be a route to get some logistical and financial help for future stages of the project. So we're working very closely on trying to put ourselves in the best position for that. Then there's the heat pump rebate program. I won't go too much into this since we spoke about it just 2 weeks ago, but this program has been extremely successful and very popular, especially in the last 6 months. We've reserved or paid 139 rebates. 20 of those have gone to low-income households and 18 to moderate-income households, and over $260,000 have been paid or reserved in rebates. In those last 6 months, since we've last changed the program, we've had a huge sort of 350% increase in income-qualified applications. And that's really great because that's one of our kind of main goals with this program. And we've also seen through survey responses that it's been extremely influential for especially those income-qualified households in making that decision to go for a heat pump instead of another gas appliance. We also have the Civic Spark program. This has been chugging along for many years now. We've had 9 Civic Spark Fellows, and they have been completely instrumental in accomplishing so much of the climate work we've done in that time. They've been helping with the development and implementation of the CAP. The street tree management plan has been shepherded along from fellow to fellow over several years. They were developing and are now implementing the foodware ordinance and many more things I can't get into because there's just too many. But they're fantastic, and we're actually in the middle of applying for next year's fellow right now. Next slide, please. And then EV charging. We have a multi-pronged approach to try to increase EV charging in the city. A few years ago, we had a multi-family EV charging pilot, and that helped. We were able to get 18 charging stations installed in 3 different multi-family buildings in the city. So that was successful and also helped us learn a lot as staff about what that process entails, the barriers, the different routes that might be more helpful. There's also a second round of that program, a slightly different approach that's been recommended by the CAC and will come to council soon. And then there's also the It's Electric license agreement that council approved just a few weeks ago, and that's meant to help install curbside charging in residential areas through a partnership from It's Electric to private building owners. We think that's going to be a really, really helpful approach to make it much more accessible for folks that don't have access to charging at home. And then we've also been working to try and connect with commercial lot owners throughout the city to see if we can help them logistically, financially, and in any other ways get more public chargers into those commercial lots that we have in various spots throughout the city as well. Of course, we're also trying to improve our fleet EV charging as well, but that gets into facility upgrades, and so I'll hand it over to our Public Works Director to talk about that.
Thank you very much.
All right, so again, I'm Mark Hurley, and I'm going to talk about our building electrification program. And so we have a two-pronged approach to building electrification. First, we convert individual appliances at replacement. So when like a water heater fails or something along those lines, we replace it with electrical, with an equivalent electrical unit. And okay, these things. Papers running out on me. Okay, and this has been good, but we also know it has some limitations. With this approach, we know we need to make more system-level upgrades to our buildings, so that will lead to fully transitioning to electrical power. For the second approach, and we're in the process of standing this up, we intend to pursue these system-level projects in conjunction with the newly established Building and Facilities Program in the CIP. So this was a big component in last year's CIP. And the foundational project to this is the Buildings and Facilities Needs Assessment. We're developing the RFP right now, and we intend to go out for solicitation later this fiscal year to get a consultant to help us with this work. So with this assessment will give us an understanding of our capital renewal needs across all our buildings. This would include not only electrification, but just carpet, paint, and things of that nature. And then we also in the CIP have a building electrification plan. And this will help program out the electrical needs. So the two projects combined, the assessment and then the program, will help us line out projects, electrification projects, either as part of the core program or as a discrete projects. And then we can transition, similar to what we do in other programs, looking for funding, whether our own resources or leveraging outside resources or other grants or whatever. But there is a hurdle to this program, and that's funding, as you might imagine. To the extent possible, and we know that we're in a constrained environment right now, it's important that we fund our city building reserves, which will allow us to move this program forward. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, council and attendees, residents. Devorah Zotter, Public Works Program Manager. I want to remind everyone we adopted a street tree management plan in September 2025. This plan recommended a comprehensive upgrade to the city's practices in protecting and enhancing Albany's urban forest, essential in our activity and resistance for climate change. Implementing the plan requires funding as well as policy updates to clarify the city's authority to perform proactive, systematic, and well-informed maintenance activities and to administer a more robust and forward-looking program. As we've discussed at the council level recently, staff have been working to develop a ballot measure which would update policy and bring in revenues to support expansion of the city's investment in urban forestry and street tree maintenance. We'll touch on street lighting more in Goal 4 later in this presentation, but I would be remiss not to mention it here, as the funding measure expected for the upcoming election includes both street trees and street lighting, which are interrelated in the space they occupy in our public right-of-way. A little history: the City Council approved the citywide street lighting evaluation in 2024, which developed guidelines and recommendations for renewal and enhancements of street lighting throughout Albany. Public Works has continued relamping the backlog of failed and failing streetlights and will continue that work throughout spring. However, more comprehensive renewal of the system, much like more comprehensive practice with our street tree maintenance, is not currently possible without a dedicated funding source. The community engagement throughout the evaluation process was quite robust, and we have heard sense from residents and taken to heart in our recent conversation with the council that enhancing the city's street lighting is a huge priority in our community. So we are investigating ways to accelerate street lighting improvements, and we'll bring this to a future meeting. That's it for me.
Thank you.
And with Goal 2, we have one single person. Leslie, please come up for housing availability and quality. This feeds into what Leslie has already addressed with the council this evening and your recent meeting as well.
Yes. So good evening. I'm Leslie Mendez, and I'm the planning manager here. And tonight I am sharing the city's staff's, as well as our commission, as well as council's, successes and accomplishments in promoting housing availability and quality. So as brought up in the consent item of 7.6, every year we have to submit an annual progress report to both the Department of Housing and Community Development as well as the Government Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation that documents the number of building permits that we are entitling, I should say the number of housing units we are entitling through planning, the number of housing units that we have issued building permits for, as well as the number of housing units that we have finalized or issued certificate of occupancies. Along with that, we also do the update to our housing element programs. And as Preston Jordan brought them up, you can find them in the attachment to item 7.6 tonight. This year, we actually had quite a banner year. Our regional housing needs allocation for this cycle, this 8-year cycle of the housing element that runs from 2023 to 2031, is 1,114. We need to document how many building permits we issue and how many we issue by income level. This year, pursuant to AB 3039, there are 2 additional income levels that have been added. And very low used to be anything lower than 50% of the area median income, or AMI. That has now been further divided into extremely low, which is anything from 30 to 15% of the area median income, and then acutely low, which is anything household earning less than 15% of the area median income. And although the 2026 area median incomes for the county has not yet been released, in 2025, the area median income for a family of 4 in Alameda County was about just under $160,000. So I'd expect it to go up this year. So this year we issued 215 well, not permits, but permits for 215 units, which is really exciting for such a small city. It represents about 1/6 of our allocation. The big jump this year was due to the issuance in December of the building permits for the Albany Bowl 207 mixed-use development. That includes 21 units that are very low income, and those are the qualifying density bonus units for the project. In addition, there was one moderate income, 2 low income, and 1 very low income that we assign to accessory dwelling units. And that is for the 30-30-30-10 rule, which is that due to the ADU rental survey conducted by the Bay Area Association of Governments, all participating jurisdictions may count 30% of our ADUs as very low, 30% as low, 30% as moderate, and 10% as above moderate. So just to put a little in perspective, I want to mention that our last cycle, our RHNA allocation, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, was 335 units. So this cycle, we have more than a 300% increase, so I think we're doing quite well for what we can do. I also just have to have a little shout out to our staff, which is these building permits represent only 12 permits, which is less than 2% of the total number of building permits that of the almost 1,000 that we issued last year. Also, they're not part of the RHNA count per se. We completed 89 units, and again, that was 25 ADUs, 2 replacement single-family housing, so net 0, but we also had the 62-unit Saha Verana Hill project that was completed last year, which is very exciting. And 19 of those units actually do qualify as extremely low income, so I'll be following up with HCD, or the Housing and Community Development, this year. We have also been working on code amendments for housing element program implementation. So back in July of last year, Council adopted updates to the administrative citations ordinance, and that is part of Program 1C to develop a more proactive code enforcement program, and you'll be hearing a little more about code enforcement later. You also adopted modifications to the residential care regarding residential care facilities, emergency shelters, low barrier navigation centers, single room occupancy housing, and employee housing in October of last year. And these changes were required both to comply with state law, but also to remove local barriers to further facilitate the construction of what are very essential residential facilities in our community. We're moving forward with programs, outreach, and grants. So we are starting and we are continuing. There are several state laws, including SB 9, which is an urban lot split and up to 4 units in the single-family zoned residential district. There's the ADU amnesty program that was updated to allow a process for legalization for ADUs that can prove that they were in existence prior to 2020. And there's the SB 684 that was modified by SB Senate Bill 1123, and that is the small lot subdivision that allows up to 10 units and subdivided on any property that is zoned for or allows multifamily. So we have updated our website to promote these programs, provide information, eligibility requirements, as well as submittal requirements. And I'm excited to say that within the last year, we've had 1 application for each of these, so we're moving forward and look forward to really promoting these to fill in that missing middle housing in our city. As you're aware, Program 5C and 5D was related to tenant protections. City Council created the Housing Advisory Commission, and we spent pretty much all of last year meeting once a month, having very in-depth and lively discussions regarding various scenarios regarding tenant protections and what would be appropriate for a local program for our city. That culminated in a December study session in front of council. And then last month, we got further direction from you, so we will be following up this year to close out those programs and make sure that we continue with the education and information in the direction that you've provided. I also want to highlight, it was in the city manager's report, but we've been participating in the Alameda County Healthy Homes minor home repair programs that offers loans up to $3,000 for lower income homeowners. They also have a new program for stay-at-home grants for elderly homeowners 62 and older. I'm starting to realize elderly doesn't seem so elderly anymore, but you may combine those grants. If you are an elderly homeowner, you may get the $5,000 and the $3,000 for a total of $8,000. So we look forward to working with our staff, Albany Cares, to promoting this more in the coming year. And where we'll be promoting it is in the Information Expo that we'll be doing in August of 18th, and this won't be the only one, but that will be our big drive to really get out the information as we set up web pages and further information. So we're here to promote housing. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goal 3 is predominantly around transportation and safety, so it wouldn't be anyone else but our transportation and sustainability manager, Justin Freed.
Good evening, Council. So, a few updates on this goal. First and foremost, the active transportation plan. We've been working on a new active transportation plan since 2024. It's involved 3 rounds of workshops and public engagement. We are in the 3rd and final round of that and expect to bring discussion of project and program priorities to City Council next month and are aiming to complete the plan this summer. Next slide, please. Next up is the traffic calming policy update. We have begun talking to data platforms to understand options for collecting citywide speed and volume data, and we'll be preparing a discussion of policy update options on this following completion of the active transportation plan. Following that, a number of bicycle and pedestrian projects have been completed over the last 5 years and are funded in the current CIP. The map shown here is from our last active transportation plan workshop, highlighting all of this work. And I'll highlight one project. The current Marin Avenue pavement project is really an example of how staff has been working to pull elements from various plans and programs in when we are able to. The project was initiated really on paving and curb ramp upgrades, but it's the final project that's underway. Also includes pedestrian crossing improvements and corner improvements, bicycle facility improvements along Marin, traffic signal upgrades, storm drainage improvements, as well as intersection lighting at key locations that were identified in the citywide street lighting evaluation. And finally, on street lighting, the CIP does include a couple of projects. We're doing, as was mentioned earlier, maintenance relamping on an annual basis, and have added the lighting, as I mentioned, to Marin Avenue, and there is an additional CIP project focused on citywide key intersections that were identified in the street lighting evaluation as safety concerns. We are continuing to look for opportunities to include street lighting into projects as we are able, and as was mentioned previously, are also looking at dedicated funding options as was discussed. And with that, I'll hand it back.
Thank you very much.
With goal 4, our Recreation and Community Services team is Sid Schoenfeld, Services Director, as well as Joy White, Senior Recreation and Community Services Supervisor.
Thank you, Nicole. Hello, Mayor and City Council members. The Recreation and Community Service Department offers programs and services that support residents across the lifespan from early childhood through older adulthood. Through classes, camps, fitness, art, and community events, we promote wellness, learning, and social connection. Many of these offerings are delivered through partnerships with contract instructors, nonprofit organizations, and other agencies, which help expand opportunities while keeping them inclusive and accessible. For our youngest residents through teens, we offer a range of activities that keep youth active, engaged, and learning beyond the school day. This includes instructor-led classes and camps, as well as support from Albany Unified School District sports programs, which expand teen access to fields and courts. We also oversee the city-run Friendship Club, which includes after-school care, seasonal camps, and the Junior Counselor Program for teens. Together, these create safe and welcoming spaces where youth build friendships, develop social emotional skills, and gain leadership experience. For adults, we focus on wellness, lifelong learning, and connections. Our facility hosts weekday programming, including popular classes like Tai Chi, Pilates, cooking, and art workshops. Some serve up to 45 participants at a time. For older adults and seniors, we offer opportunities that support health, belonging, and social engagement. Our socials, run by volunteers Monday through Friday, regularly fill the senior center with music, dancing, and games. Additional offerings such as meals, travel opportunities, and outdoor excursions further help reduce isolation and foster meaningful connections. Next slide, please. Finally, we bring the community together through a series of citywide events that foster civic pride, connection, and access to resources. Our department collaborated on several resource-focused expos designed to connect residents with city services, programs, and partner organizations, something Sid will speak on in more detail. We also host signature events such as 4th of July, Concert in the Park, Movie in the Park, and based on strong community feedback, brought back Dinner with Albany. In addition, we support special events organized by community partners by assisting with permitting, space coordination, and logistics. Examples include Move and Groove and the Albany Triathlon, both which contribute to the vibrant life of our city. These events are made possible through strong collaboration with city departments, including police, fire, public works, and community development, whose partnerships ensure a safe, seamless, and welcoming experience for our residents.
Thank you, Joy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. In our department, one key initiative to increase accessibility to city programs and services is our financial assistance for low-income households seeking childcare and development opportunities. The Friendship Club Subsidy Program is available for income-eligible families residing in Albany whose children participate in any of our Friendship Club programming. This includes subsidized monthly tuition for after-school care, which is made possible with ARPA funds. Additionally, the Albany Police Activity League, APAL, has contributed funding for low-income Albany households. Per season, each child can receive $100 discount from a contract class or a camp of their choice. These subsidies directly reduce financial barriers and ensure children from lower income families can fully participate in community programming. What's here? Beyond recreation programming, we've expanded services that strengthen community stability. Albany Cares offers navigation and referral support to over 500 community members per year on a wide range of issues. Through ARPA funding, Albany Project Hope has expanded housing and outreach services for residents experiencing homelessness, including additional housing capacity and rapid rehousing subsidies. Our landlord-tenant counseling and the rent review program through Echo Housing promotes housing stability. Additionally, the financial assistance program, launched in 2023, helps low-income tenants facing temporary financial setbacks and supports housing stabilization in the community. This program has offered critical support to Verona Hill residents, as well as ensuring formerly unhoused individuals do not lose their affordable housing. To date, the rental assistance program has assisted 93 households with approximately 3 to 4 months of rent. We have taken steps to improve outreach and participation among income-eligible residents in the parcel tax exemption and renter rebate program. The application period has been expanded to year-round to increase accessibility. In addition to mailing informational postcards to Albany residents, we now offer an in-person application assistance center for residents who need help completing the application process and excuse me, and obtaining their exemptions or rebates. These community service programs prevent displacement, reduce housing insecurity, and help residents remain connected to schools, services, and community networks. Over the past year, staff have made strong progress advancing the City Council strategic plan objectives related to community outreach and public information. Our focus has been on creating meaningful opportunities for residents to learn about city initiatives, access resources, and share feedback. Within the past year, staff conducted a number of outreach events designed to reach a broad cross-section of the community. These included an affordable housing workshop, a fire drill and safety expo for the Pierce Street community, a community resource expo at the Senior Center, and just last month, recently, the Kids and Family Expo at the Community Center. Staff also host informational booths at major gatherings, including 4th of July in the Park and the Solano Stroll, helping us connect with residents in accessible and informal settings. We conduct ongoing outreach through the city's website and e-notification system to keep residents informed about programs, services, and upcoming events. Printed materials are also posted at all city facilities, and informational postcards promoting events and resources are mailed throughout the community. In addition, our department produces a comprehensive and engaging activity guide 3 times a year that highlight all of those programs, events, and services. Beyond these communication tools, the Community Center and Senior Center are open Monday through Friday and provide regular opportunities for in-person engagement and community members throughout the week. Together, these efforts demonstrate the city's commitment to proactive communication, inclusive outreach, and ensuring residents have clear and accessible information about city's programs and services. Through strategic partnerships and thoughtful program design, we continue to build a more inclusive, connected, and resilient Albany community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a significant amount of work is underway with regard to revenue and finance and really looking to sustain our core services. So our finance director, Raina Schwartz, will provide an overview.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. You know me. I'm Raina Schwartz. I'm your Finance Director, and I have no pretty slides, no pictures, and not nearly as much fun to talk about items. However, I will quickly go through, as you're well aware, this item is really focused on the city's future financial sustainability and is critical to everything else you're listening to. If we're not funding those basic services, it's a struggle to get to anything higher level within the strategic plan. As you see on the slide, there are a number of projects. Many of them have come to council already or will come back to council shortly. The real property transfer tax item has come to council twice and will come back again in May, looking at whether there should be consideration for modifications for that general tax source. The sewer billing analysis and rate study, kind of a 2-part process, both looking at making sure that we have a full inventory of the parcels in the city that should be being billed for sewer and that they will be billed for sewer, as well as a rate study to look toward future adjustments as needed for ensuring that there are adequate funds. As been mentioned a few times, street tree and street lighting is under consideration for some dedicated funding, which would allow us to make improvements in those areas that are really limited right now by the available funding mechanisms that are in place. There has been a development impact fee study underway with our consultant NBS. It's currently in review with our city attorney's office, so that will come back to you as that is completed. And then finally, we are looking at updates to the business license code. HDL, as the city manager mentioned, is our new business license tax processor. They also have significant experience in reviewing and helping jurisdictions update their business license code. Hint, ours is very out of date. Looking forward to updating it. Big hint, big out of date. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities there to both potentially increase revenue, but also address issues around equity, sustainability, et cetera, with those updates. So all of that and more to come on the financial, and I turn it over to some public safety folks.
A whole bunch of people. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Our last goal here will be with Dina Tassini, our Community Development Director, Jim Boydo, our Fire Chief, and Devorah Zouder for Program Manager.
Oh, we have 3 coming here. That's great. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I waited to the last and snuck in because community development isn't always as much fun as this. So, but what I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I know that you guys have wanted us to focus on that, is our code enforcement program. And when I first came on board, we do have Wildan as a contract person for our code enforcement. We shifted and hired somebody from Wildan that actually worked in code enforcement before and has begun a much more stringent program with us where we're kind of putting together templates. We've been working with the attorney's office as well as police and fire. So we're kind of doing this group effort. The intent for the next 6 months is to work on San Pablo and Solano to make sure we have the signage that we're supposed to have and kind of to help with some of the graffiti issues that we've been seeing and just work towards more beautification of those commercial corridors. We also have been working with individual property owners that have had some issues with respect to their housing and some of it being a little bit more substandard. So we've been working with other property owners for cleanup and retrofitting some of the things that are missing. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to the chief. Here you go.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jim Boydo, Fire Chief for the City of Albany. We had a very busy year this year with in regards to disaster preparedness and mainly with the adoption of our EOP was a huge first step in getting the focus of the city and the staff of the city on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it as a group in an organized fashion. It was shepherded by Captain Tim Smizer and Assistant City Manager Isabella Duke. Thank you very much. Without them working together, this would not have been as good of a product and would not be presented to staff as well as it was. This was truly a top-down presentation. Every department head down to every level of their staff was met individually with Isabel and Tim. They went over the plan on how it works in particular to their department, and then we finalized that with a drill this fall with our consultant that put the plan together, and everyone in the city came together. We worked together, worked through the plan, and we're going to be building off of that in the future. One of the most important pieces is engaging our community. As we all know, the community members in Albany are very active, they are concerned, and they care about their neighbors and want to do their best to help the community. The number one place to do that is CERT. With our partners, Albany CERT Inc., we trained over 85 people in CERT training over the last 3 years, and an additional 10 in a special LISTO-funded grant that was in Mandarin and Cantonese. So we were the first and only city to do that in the state. So the staff is out there doing things, working together with our community partners. let's see. The next piece is going to be talking about wildfire safety. Almost 5 years ago, I was a brand new chief and doing a presentation about the conditions that we discovered on the hill with our decaying eucalyptus forest setters on Albany Hill. We were coming off of a fire season that was 4.39 million acres throughout the state that had burned, so the people were very worried, justifiably so, on what could happen on the hill. Within the city, community development, public works, and the fire department, we recognized the potential, worked on a plan together, and through our partnerships, reached out to the rest of our region, including CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, Cal Berkeley, and East Bay Regional Parks to come up with a team to look at that problem and work towards a solution. I would want to acknowledge our Natural Areas Coordinator, Margot Cunningham, on her work. She has truly shepherded every single program to make the hill better and safer in regards to the habitat and fire safety. And I will turn this over to Devorah to talk about the rest of the plan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. So to how all of that has developed into where we are today, through the process of working with all the scientific experts and our consultant and with staff from all of our departments, the Albany Hill Forest Management and Habitat Restoration Plan was adopted in March 2025. This plan is both a document and record of community vision and an actionable implementation plan for addressing the impacts of climate change in Albany, specifically with regards to the eucalyptus forest on Albany Hill and the sort of placemaking vision we have for this precious natural resource. We, at the moment, at this time, where we find ourselves at this moment in time is we are continuing routine maintenance and fire safety inspection with Public Works, Fire, and our contractor Urban Tilth. And we are also chipping away at the projects outlined in the plan based on available funding. So right now we have been awarded a shared grant with El Cerrito from the State Coastal Conservancy for a demonstration project, since El Cerrito is experiencing similar issues with their eucalyptus in the hillside natural area. This demonstration project involves community work days, hosting community work days on the hill with educational components. The grant provides funding for high priority tree removals and funds for investing further in Urban Tilth, who are our community partner for vegetation management and other projects led by Margot. And additionally, community demonstrations coming this fall of milling practices for eucalyptus wood that can then be repurposed for things like trail steps and retaining walls back on site from where they were removed. Our first event in the series funded by this grant is coming up on April 11th at the Taft Turnaround, I believe 10 to 12:30, but more information will be coming on the website and in the e-news. The event will be a walk and talk community workday on the hill where attendees will get to help with planting native plants and where we will discuss and provide information about wildfire resilient landscapes. Staff continue to source funding for other elements of the plan, which had 3 major projects, and will share results and investigations at council as at council meetings and the like as warranted. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So, Mayor and Council, that is a high-level summary of all the work conducted to date. Again, in addition to core services to help achieve the strategic plan goals, I want to appreciate all of the staff here this evening that have taken their evening to spend with us and worked so hard to share the coordinated presentation, which takes some practice. So I appreciate all the extra work there, and also the staff that aren't here. We have a lot of other staff involved in moving the strategic plan forward as well. And also a reminder, I want to point to our website again as another tracking tool on the strategic plan. We actually have a web page on this under the City Council area of the website where we continue to track progress towards strategic plan goals and objectives, as well in each and every staff report, you'll see those denoted. So with that, we are happy to take questions from council as the mayor explained the process. And again, appreciate your patience through that presentation.
Thank you. Before we start, I just want to echo what the city manager said. Thank you so much for being here tonight, giving us your time, all the work that went into this. And please thank the rest of your staff that aren't here tonight. Thank them for all of us. With that, are there council questions? Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to echo that as well. I mean, it's really great to see all of you guys here and to hear all the updates and the work that you've put forward, as well as the other staff that can't be here tonight. So really, thank you. You've done an excellent job at hearing us, so.
I have to agree rather than jump into questions. This may seem kind of incredible, but being a policy nerd, I teared up a number of times during my presentations. I just feel so privileged to be able to do my part with such a group as the staff. It was a few years ago, it dawned on me to compare the city of Albany to the other small cities in the county. And even though Albany has about twice the population of those cities, it has about the same budget, if not less. So it is incredible what you all get done. And apparently the joy that you experience in doing it, I think, comes through. And I want to thank the city manager and the assistant city manager and everybody who helps create that culture. I can't thank you enough. I've watched strategic plans come and go, I think, since the beginning, whenever that started, 2008 maybe. And this is the most thorough, both presentation of what has been accomplished and most accomplishment of what the council asked you to do. It's phenomenal. The first strategic plan that was done, it had a scorecard. The scorecard was never filled out. They went right on to the next strategic plan. So just amazing progress by the city in terms of honoring these plans and working towards them on top of everything else you do. So thank you very much.
I was saving these kind of comments for later, but we're jumping right in. Yeah, no,
You're all being so nice, I'm letting you go.
I will share with what the other council members said, the amount of work that we as a small city and you as a small staff have been able to do under limited budgets, and really not only kept us in a place where we can look at an end year budget and say, an incredible fact that like we are looking to be at zero this year. We had a small loss last year, but that was unexpected costs. But you as staff doing all of this work and doing it in a place where you're conscious of our budget is incredible. In my experience, I've learned a lot while on council, and I will say that I have learned so much from you as staff. And the one thing that I've learned at the conferences I've gone is they consistently talk about partnerships, knowledge share, cross-departmental work, and really maximizing the ability of you as staff to have an impact. And the fact, seeing what you all have accomplished in the last year is incredible, because I heard through each of your presentations how you all have done that, whether it was the Marin Avenue, whether it's working with El Cerrito, whether it's finding unique funding sources. At the last conference that I was just at last week, everyone's ears perked up when they heard about the sidewalk program that we have. Everyone's ears perked up about the gas decommissioning project that we have underway. And so we are a small town, but I think we are showing clear leadership to the rest of the cities and municipalities in California that what can be done when everyone stays focused and really thinks creatively about both how we get things done and how we fund things. And so I was saving this for the end, but I just want to really share that because it was really exciting to hear all that we've gotten done. And some of it was, a reminder of the things they've already told us that you did. So it was really great to have it in one presentation.
Are there any questions from council? Or on goal 1. I was thinking of just adjourning the meeting now, but yes, we have to go on. Okay, so
I of course have questions. Of course I do.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, so on goal 1, obviously intensely curious about SB 1221 and the opportunity for pilot projects. I'm unclear on SB 1221 makes pilot projects more possible. Does it require the investor-owned utilities to actually do some pilot projects, to fund the pilot projects? I just don't understand that part of it besides the making them more possible legally to do.
There's still a lot about exactly how this will be implemented that is unclear to everyone and is being determined by the Public Utilities Commission right now. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that. Based on the presentations I've seen and my discussions with staff at PG&E, it does seem like PG&E really wants to pursue pilot projects, whether it's required or not. They really seem, I'm hesitant to say excited, but maybe something close to that about this approach. So it does seem clear to me that PG&E will be pursuing pilot projects. Exactly how the funding around that works is one of the fuzziest pieces of this right now, and obviously one of the most important. So it's a little bit hard to say on that note, but like I said, we've been keeping Albany in a good position to at least be eligible and to be very much on the radar of PG&E staff. And we're working on advocating to make sure that if it's possible to get funding for the project from PG&E, we want to make that happen. So,
Thank you. And City Clerk, if you could go to slide 11, there's something I just have to ask about. You can probably guess what it is. Well, no, it wasn't. It said slide 11 on the bottom. Maybe up slide 8, I'm thinking maybe. So the picture in the upper left, what is going on there?
yeah, that was a conference related to, I believe, green building, something like that. But this was about water efficiency, and so there was some group that had a massive golden toilet that was promoting water efficiency. Yeah.
I thought maybe our president was in the room, but
yeah. We have fun with our Civic Spark fellows, so.
Right on. Thank you.
Yep.
That's it, Mayor.
Any other questions on goal 1? We will open it to public comment on goal 1 only. Seeing none in the room, are there any online?
This is Jean Wu. I am an Albany resident, member of the Albany Climate Action Coalition. I saw the section about the resilience hubs, and I wanted to make a couple of points. One is that there is apparently a hesitancy to deal with batteries because it's residential area, but I happen to know that there are batteries all over Albany because my company, the Custom Power Solar, we install them, and we do solar plus batteries, and we help people put in their EV chargers. On my side of the block alone, there are 4 solar systems with batteries, and we've put in batteries for 14 years. So the thing about batteries is that they are becoming much safer, and there's a lot of code restrictions now about them. So I think the hesitancy about batteries could be alleviated with more education. The person who has volunteered to come and talk about the AVA program, which actually supplies a huge bonus, an incentive of $1,220 per kilowatt hour for batteries for resilience hubs. Carly Yoro has said that she'd be willing to give a presentation to the council or to the public or to the staff about their program, because that getting into that program does require going through their technical assistance program, which, as I pointed out before, is free, and provides a lot of the information that you will need to do a resilience hub at the Albany Climate Albany Community Center. Also, batteries now are going to be outside, and there's a lot of fire suppression stuff that has to be added to them. I think that's a misplaced concern. As far as funding, that amount of money, $1,220 per kilowatt hour, pretty much pays for the batteries. And then if you wanted to find other sources of funding, I put together a paper and I sent it to the council and I sent it to the CAC. There are other sources of funding, and the AVA Community Energy TA group also can provide information about getting other sources of funding. It's really important to keep in mind that in order to get the 30% incentive from the federal government, which has not died for nonprofits and municipalities, you need to start soon and put at least 5% of your total cost into paying for a consultant or materials or something, engineering, before July 4th, because then you'll have a 4.5-year runway to finish the job. And that's way better than waiting. If you wait until afterwards, then you will have more difficulty because you have to finish this whole thing by the end of December 2027.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, good evening. Nick Peterson, also with Albany Climate Action Coalition. I want to follow on with what Jean was talking about with this high priority on addressing climate issues and being more resilient. I think there needs to be, I'd like to see a bit more flexibility. Well, let me back up a bit. First, I just want to acknowledge this is an incredible amount of work, and I compliment staff on putting together in a very understandable way and putting their resources and their time in on this. It's really shows their seriousness about the goals and the strategic plan itself. So with the goal number 1 being the highest priority, I think it would be good if somehow there could be a bit more flexibility. I realize that it's good to do a full facilities needs assessment of all buildings and facilities and come up with an overall arching plan, and then from that break off pieces and move ahead. But whenever we see there's an opportunity to do a pilot and to bring something forward, like the Resilience Center at the Community Center, through the AVA Community Energy Technical Assistance Program, we should just go for that, because that's going to help us in the long run. Doesn't obligate us to a lot of things, but opens up a better process and allows a more financially feasible approach to what we know eventually will be the hard decisions to make, which is where's the money. And so I would encourage staff to have a little bit of flexibility to move some of these projects that are related to climate action and reducing emissions and electrification, to take advantage of what's available now and is soon to disappear, and to put forward, at least do the initial work that's required, which wasn't much, and just a few hours of staff time to provide information to the consultant supporting AVA Community Energy to get that technical assistance going, which would be then done at no charge. So the other thing, again, it's sort of on the same theme. I tend to get the sense that, we focus on certain things, but then it's like that iceberg of the city government slide that the city manager showed. The 80% of work down below the water line is just normal city business, but somehow we need to remember we're not doing business as usual. So it'd be good to see some expedited efforts.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
This is Lucinda Young, Albany Climate Action Coalition member, and I want to first really thank staff for the report, and I want to give a special shout out to Michelle Plaus, who I have dealt with a lot on the Albany Climate Action Coalition. She works really hard, takes her job very seriously, and is really knowledgeable. We just need more Michelles. And I know until a couple years ago, we had a second staff person. We had Lizzie Camarade, who was also working on climate. And after Lizzie left, there was no replacement. And I'm not sure what happened with that, but I think there is a need for more staff support around climate. I wanted to express I've had really great experience also with our Civic Spark fellows. I think they've done a terrific job, and I'm glad to see that's going to continue. I did want to make a comment on the discussion of the Resilience Hub on page 5 through 6. And I do echo what both Jean Wu and Nick Peterson said previously. There's a suggestion that battery storage is inconsistent with, or it should not be placed in a residential area. And I think that's based on misinformation. All the modern battery storage is extremely safe. It includes monitoring systems that monitor temperature, fire detection, and suppression systems. And with the technology, it's getting even safer. I know there are resilience hubs currently being placed in San Leandro, Hayward, Stockton, all in areas that are much more densely populated than Albany. So I would just suggest that not be, I don't think that's a legitimate excuse not to pursue battery at the, or the resilience hub at the community center. And I would strongly encourage, as I have previously emailed council, and other people have spoken to, that we move forward with the free technical assistance provided by AVA. This is free. We're going to be paying a lot of money for a consultant to do the same thing. Why not take advantage of this free technical assistance with Albany? And they will also, once we have that technical assistance as part of that, put us in a position to evaluate the safety issue, if there is any safety issue. And I also really want to encourage us to take advantage of incentives, the AVA incentive, the federal tax credit. Those are not going to repeat themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, moving to goal 2. Are there questions from council?
Yeah, I was curious. I think I've heard this before, but if I have, it slipped my mind. At what point do residences count towards the RENA goal? So on the tables, I know I love numbers. So on the tables, I appreciate the numbers of residences that have received building permits now, and then of residences that have received occupancy certificates. And I don't know which of those steps does the state actually say, okay, you've now done something?
Correct. So though we have to report all 3, building permit issuance and completion, as well as planning entitlement, it is the building permit issuance that is the ones that count towards the RENA.
Okay. And so the project of 540 San Pablo, colloquially known as the Albany Bowl project, that just received its building permits in 2025.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 3 years. I can't recall how long. Yeah, so it's a long process for them.
Yes.
And then on the accessory dwelling units, you explained, but maybe made a highlight a little more. Those that are counted as various affordability levels is not because there are single specific ADUs that received some grant funding or have something on their title or otherwise that limits the rent. It's just by a formula that the state recognizes, right?
That is correct. They're not deed restricted. It is based on a survey that was done regionally by ABAG that we could use that formula. And we will be following up this spring, late spring, maybe early summer, with our own ADU rental survey. So hopefully we'll get some local numbers to fill out what was done regionally. But yes, right now it's just a formula.
And is that survey something that Albany is required to do by some state law, policy, or it's just a recommendation?
Well, it is one of our housing element programs, so we're following up, but also just to have more data and information on what our ADUs are being used for, and if they're rented, hopefully get an idea of where they fall on the affordability spectrum.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Mickey, any questions? Okay. We'll go to public comment on goal number 2.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick Peterson again. Actually, the question Preston asked was one question I had. The other question I had was there was mention of a county housing upgrade program for income limited and seniors, which got up to like about 8,000 worth of funds. Can that be stacked with the Albany like heat pump incentives and other in that program? Because it seems like that would be an excellent thing to really promote with our senior, through the senior center and others. I mean, if you can stack all that, you could practically do electrification of your home without much charge at all. So it seems like there's an opportunity there to really get the word out as long as those stack up, and people can really, people that would be hugely challenged to electrify their homes would have a big leg up. It was very exciting to see that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. All right, we'll move to goal number 3. Council questions?
Yeah, I guess I'll just, thought that was intriguing what the commenter just raised. So it's a spontaneous question, so I don't know that staff would have the answer, but would it be possible to combine these rehabilitation subsidies that are available with the heat pump subsidy in some constructive way?
Do you want to start? I can say, I think with our heat pump rebate program, the program does have its own requirements that may or may not overlap, but I think there's possibly a possibility of, using that as a pool for cross-pollination of, letting people know about the resources that are available from the city. Combining the two programs might not make sense, but yeah, more of an outreach perspective probably makes more sense. Definitely something we can look into. You want to add anything?
Yeah, and I'll just follow up on the portion on the Fix Your Home grants with the county. So there is no restriction to combine them with a local program. However, they are specific to minor repairs for the home, and the big goal behind them is to help people stay in their home. So that it may not qualify for new appliances or electrification, but it may. But that would be, the requirements are available through the Alameda County Development Agency, Healthy Homes Department. And we will, as a partner in this program, be doing a lot more outreach on it. And
I guess maybe as a follow-on question, if you happen to know either from Albany experience or more generally across the area, what kinds of rehabilitation changes to those funds, the $8,000 up to $8,000, what do people tend to use those for? Because they're not for electrical systems or appliances, then using them both at the same time wouldn't make much sense.
correct. So I'll just read from the brochure, which says the minor home repair can be used for minor plumbing, carpentry, electrical repairs, toilets, doors, locks, water heaters, and more. And the older home program includes a consultation with an occupational therapist, and it includes things such as adding grab bars in bathrooms, installing handrails on stairways, replacing ramps for easier entrance. So essentially assisting folks who are elder and also disabled to stay in their homes with more independence.
Yeah, there might be the very rare instance of somebody using it for electrical and water heating, in which case it could be a nexus, but otherwise no nexus. Okay, thank you very much.
Councilmember Mickey, let's open to public comment on goal 3. None? Great, okay. Goal 4, council questions. Councilmember Mickey? Oh. Member Jordan? I can see the wheels turning.
Yeah, my numbering got out of whack. Stuck on goal 3 is goal 3 transportation? I can't remember. Right. So yeah, I got stuck on the previous one, goal 2. So we can go to, goal 3. So I saw that the San Pablo Phase 1 improvement project for sidewalk users, I guess there's some parts of it that are left to be done, and I was just curious what those are, because I thought it was like basically completed, so. Thank you for returning.
Sure. The work is substantially completed, but we are planning to do modifications at one intersection to better match the design intent.
Okay, is that the Castro intersection? That's
yes.
Yeah, okay. And then one other question while you're there. So I caught through one way and another that the relevant advisory committee of MTC recently recommended, so Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which is the regional transportation planning agency, recommended to the commission that it extend the contract with Lyft for running Bay Wheels, which is the shared bike program, and that extension, that contract extension includes 10 new stations to be deployed. The area of eligibility for those is Albany, El Cerrito Plaza Bart, Treasure Island, Alameda, and Santa Clara. And so if that does get extended, that's going to be, I think, pretty, let's say, serious competition for those stations. So I'm just curious, is staff aware of this? And if staff started spinning up to make the case for that? Because I think if you wait until the contract extension occurs, we might already be way behind the game in terms of what the other jurisdictions' moves are being made.
I was unaware of specifics in updated contract language, but we have been in talks with MTC about potential expansion following their completion of the current Berkeley expansion, but no commitments have been made so far.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Now, do you have any questions on goal 4?
Well, just on that one, I'll say that I would encourage leaning in on that, obviously, since that opportunity is almost upon us.
That's the question.
Okay. Well, I'm sticking with I guess we're going to do deliberation later. Okay. Okay. I don't have any questions on goal 4.
No one had goal 4 questions. Okay. Any online? Great. Okay. Goal 5, council questions? Okay. Any public comment on goal 5? Goal 6? Any public on goal 6? There's 2 people have their hands up.
Hi, this is Jean again, Jean Wu, Albany Climate Action Coalition. So goal 6 has to do with public health, and as I understand it, also emergency responses. And so it sort of feeds into goal 1 as far as the use of the Albany the Albany Community Center as not just a community center, but also a resilience hub. So I would think that would be another way to look at it, is to implement, even piecemeal, a cooling center by adding a heat pump, and food and water kind of distribution, looking at how that could happen. And then also getting involved with the AVA, the advisory that will be able to sort of piece out the costs and also give you a really good estimate of the timelines that would be needed, because that system, or what number of systems that you want to put in, will greatly influence the amount of funding that it will take. So I'm just really advocating that you get started with that. and then consider carefully what you want in a resilience center, or even if you want more than one resilience hub, because I think there are several schools, so it'd also be excellent sources of not only resources, but also places for people to go in case there was a massive disaster or wildfire. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, this is Francesco. I'm sorry, I wanted to comment on 5. You were going by them so quick, I couldn't get my mouse to work fast enough. The increased revenue and economic development to sustain our services, the recommendation are considering development impact fee and increased transfer tax fee. The development impact fee is another cost that makes development more expensive and housing more expensive to build. And why should that be not considered? Well, I want to give you an example, and the transfer tax increase as well. I want to give you an example of last year. I'm a real estate agent, worked in Albany for almost 37 years. Last year, I sold a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in Albany for $1,015,000, 1,129 square feet. This is modest, very modest home. Well, guess what? The assessed value was, the people had been there for so long, their assessed value was $38,000. So they were paying taxes that were very, very, very low, and according to their assessed value. And the fixed costs were around $3,400, the fixed assessment, and their according to their assessed value, it was only $500. My clients who had to borrow against their retirement funds in order to come up with a down payment, cashed them out, okay, are now going to be paying $13,702 just for assessed value, okay? And then we're going to add on another $3,500 to that. So it's around $17,000 a year they're going to be paying. The transfer of real estate is what kept us afloat. This was in the reports and the Financial Advisory Committee that I was a member for 2 years. So I really am worried that you're going to try to extract from the people who are paying the most, the more taxes and more fees. And it really goes against our housing goals, which are to make things more affordable here. So the fee, how can you do it so we make things more affordable for the people who are here and not be taxing more and more on the people who are paying the most here to come here to Albany to live? Please consider that in the future on your Sustainable Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak again. Nick Peterson with the Albany Climate Action Coalition. On Goal 6, I wanted to just comment on how thorough and excellent the work going on Albany Hill is. I have to say that, you know, it was once a very gnarly problem, and you know, there was a partial fire at the foot of the hill and everyone was holding their breath. We've lucked out a little bit in the weather since the trees have been, you know, dying out so quickly, but the progress made on that has been really stellar. So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing is just to second what Jean Wu said in this resilience hub. Let's get the technical advice, technical assistance, and at least see if it's, you know, what the hurdles are, and potentially be able to kick it out ahead of the rest of the building improvements. It would be a big coup for Albany. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Okay, so does staff have any response to any of the public comments that were raised? You can mix them up or however, and you don't have to.
I think that while we have the experts in the room, we will address the Resilience Hub.
All right. Good evening again. Jim Boydo, Fire Chief. We have and have had multiple spots that are designated as resiliency hubs within the context of the world of disaster preparedness and disaster management. The community center, we have partnerships with our schools. The Albany Senior Center is an option. So we're already doing those things and have done those things. It's addressed in our EOP very thoroughly. So I think it'd be important to realize that resiliency hubs is an actual thing in the disaster preparedness world, and we've already done that work and have it established. The stuff with AVA, and I'll pass it to you as far as, or to Mark, talks about how to come up with better ways to power the building. And then I'll get out of, that's not my wheelhouse, so I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, let me touch on the battery storage component of it. Well, first of all, I want to make it clear, we're not against solar and battery combinations, especially in residential and small commercial. I mean, that's something we want to do as part of a solar battery project. What AVO talked about, and this is based on our meeting that we had with them, it was, August, September. They were looking for a battery storage that would replace what would be the backup generator, something that would either reduce the need for it or replace it entirely. And so that's, in designing a generator of that, it's a 3-day supply of power for a building. And that is a much larger issue. And I did reach out to a manufacturer, and the scale of that battery is on the order of like a small or medium-sized Connex box. So that opens up the siting challenges. So we're not against it. It's just this is a constrained site, and there are challenges. And then if you take a step back, we are so much more effective in delivering projects when we have we're working from a base. A perfect example of that is the Albany Hill project, where we did have a lot of energy around the project initially. We invested money, put together a base plan. We got a couple of rounds of grants, and now we're off executing. And we want to do that model for the building side.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we can bring it back to council for any comments.
I'm going to thank staff for addressing the Resiliency Hub. That was fantastic. I tried to read the whole EOP. I think it's 700 pages or something like that, so I didn't quite make it. So I think I missed that aspect, so I very much appreciate hearing you explain that already exists, those terms of cooperative agreements. And to be clear, I fully support staff in plan first, then engineer, then build. Don't mix up that order. And I do not support trying to put the Resiliency Hub before everything else. In particular, in terms of greenhouse pollution, having a clear plan on, okay, where are the most cost benefit be gained from electrifying buildings. You're not going to get that without a citywide assessment and plan. So I very much appreciate staff pursuing that. And if electrification of some aspect of the community center and adding storage there makes sense at some point, then that will be a part of the program, like the other plans we have. In terms of safety, Sunrun came around to my wife and I's front door. I spent sort of an intensive 48 hours considering their proposal. And at base, they use, if I remember correctly, it's like a lithium iron phosphate battery, which they said is very safe and resistant to bursting into fire. I asked, well, could we get a larger battery? Because my wife needs electricity for various needs related to her disability. well, if you go with a larger battery, we can provide a Tesla Powerwall, but that's lithium ion and that has a higher fire risk. I am reminded of the Moss Landing fire that occurred. So I am not as confident, perhaps, as many people are that these aren't a particular hazard. And it's one thing to have that hazard in a single house. It's another thing to have that hazard in what is your resiliency center, because if that thing catches on fire and you've taken your resiliency center out of action. So again, I just want to thank staff for the methodical work that it's doing. I know it can be unglorious at times, but I very much appreciate it. And as far as the property transfer tax, I've said it before when we considered it, but my desire is to have a tiered tax structure. So residents, for instance, that was mentioned at that price point, the current rate would stay the same. It's again my preference, not the council's expressed interest. At the first quartile price, so that's $1 million is in the second quartile of sales prices. The first quartile price, which is about ceilings at about $650,000 historically over the last few years, the rate would actually go down, and it would go up for those more expensive properties in recognition that people that are buying those properties are generally wealthier. As far as development impact fees, I mean, new developments do put a strain on our infrastructure system, and so that's the reason that those fees exist.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, Councilor Mayor, do you have any comments? Councilmember Mickey?
I'll also go back to the Resiliency Hub. Thank you for the presentation, or for answering the questions. I think one of the keys that was brought up is that we have identified resiliency hubs. Some of those happen to be with partners. I'm going to be honest here, I have not read all 700 pages. But I think my hope as the planning moves forward, both for our facilities, but that we also work with our partners, so whether that's the school district or UC, in the sense that all three are going to need to be working together to provide resiliency hubs, both for climate adaptation or whether there's a large earthquake, whether there's a large urban fire, and having a distributed network of resiliency hubs that can provide that is going to be most beneficial to us. But recognizing that we as Albany actually have very little land in which to accommodate many asks of what we would like and what we need, but knowing that our partners might have more land or more availability to accommodate some of these larger battery storage, solar panels, whatnot, I think is really powerful. And it's just another opportunity for us as a small community to really maximize our partnership and our relationships with other groups. I will say, Leslie, I'm going to come back to a comment you made about things that were accommodated under RENA or processed, and I didn't bring this up on goal 2. But what I'm hearing is that you all have been so effective in addressing all the myriad of changes at the state level that you'll have us a Solano Avenue plan by the end of the year. I joke. When I came on council, I had a few things that I really wanted to do, and I think a lot of the things have gone accomplished, and many kudos to staff. Solano Avenue was one of the ones that I held very near and dear to me, both the street, which we are working on the street through the active transportation plan, but also the potentially a specific plan. But I think what I have seen our staff do in the time that I've been in council is be able to focus on those things that we all as a council have identified as strategic things to do, but also deal with all the crazy things that come up as a city, whether that's investigating potentially radioactive materials in the bulb or the myriad of other things that happen. And so I have truly appreciated the flexibility staff has had in order to get everything done that they do and address critical things that come up. And I think one of the things that I've heard commented much is, flexibility. Staff should be more flexible. I actually truly believe our staff has been extremely flexible in accommodating and finding ways of maximizing what can be done on any given project, whether that's a planning project or a capital improvement project, to meet our overall goals. And so it's not a question of where is it on the priority list Well, that is part of the question, but I think the other one is what can we accomplish that maybe is a lower priority, but pull it into a project that we are doing. And so I've been super thrilled with what our staff has been able to and really look forward to what they can continue to do. And with that, I'm done with comments.
Piggybacking off of that a little bit, I'm also really grateful for staff of, looking at everything, analyzing it, everything, and that's one of the things that we asked of staff too, was to, come back to us and say, okay, this is not something that can be happening right now. This project might have to come back up in a few, and just being really realistic with what can be done and can't be done, and continue to be efficient and effective in the things that can be done and move those things along forward faster. So thank you for that.
I think of all the things I heard tonight, and they're all very wonderful and exciting and everything, was code enforcement. When I started on council 10 years ago, that was my goal. We're going to have code enforcement. Well, here we are. We now have code enforcement. I have to remember what my other goals were. But anyway, so I'm just really grateful that we have that you've managed to make a program that's efficient and that works. And I'll, echo what everybody else said. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, you're a pleasure to work with. And we can see the way you are interacting with each other that you really are a team. And that comes from the top. Let's look this way too. It comes from the top. And with that, we'll close out this item. Thank you for being here. You can tell me later who won the pool.
Wait, there was a pool?
I always have a pool. Okay, that brings us. Yes, yay! And yet they're leaving. Okay, we have, where are we? We have no unfinished business. We have no public hearing. We have no new business. That brings us to council member reports on meetings attended, announcements of future meetings. We didn't do this the last time, so we'll just kind of catch up. We'll start over here with council member Mickey.
I attended I'm going to try and remember if I got this right, the Cal City's East Bay Division meeting, in which we had state legislators present. That was back in February, I want to say late February. And then this past weekend, I was able to attend the Civic Well Policymakers Conference. Really great conference. That was the group that I mentioned earlier, where they were super excited about how we are dealing with sidewalks and how we were paying for that. They were super excited to hear about what we did on Albany Hill, both because of fire danger, trying to plant as much native plants as possible. It did mention that we are putting back some eucalyptus, but that are less fire prone, and that it's monarch butterfly habitat. And so a lot of people in that were super excited about that process. I will say one thing that came up that many of the elected are hearing from their residents is that they are losing their insurance policy, even when they are not in a high fire risk area, because there's a tree next to their house, whether that's a street tree or a tree in their backyard. That is an issue that has been brought up to some of the state legislators, particularly the Insurance Commission, just that, this doesn't make any sense. This group in particular was super supportive of our process for tree maintenance and how we're moving forward with that process. But that was all in this conversation about people losing insurance because they had a tree next to their house. The discussion pretty much was talking very much that the insurance companies are really reeling just from all of the fires over the past decade. So the pendulum has now really swung in the other direction, of they're being hyper sensitive about anything that might be increased risk.
Anything for you?
I attended the mayor's conference last week, and it was in Union City, and it was great to see everybody and see. We got two presentations, one from PG&E about how they're really cutting the fat and making things very more efficient with some stuff. And then also BART was there also with their plans, projected measures, and then also just encouraging the ridership. So, it was great to be there. First time that I got to attend one of those, so that was fun. And then, I also attended a Stop Waste meeting talking about some of the funding and future funding projections. So it's interesting how it's all kind of leveraging out. So, and we heard about the increase of some tonnage fees and so on and so forth. So, yeah. And that's, let's see, anything else that I had? Can't think of it right now.
I attended the Planning, Policy, and Legislative Committee of Albany County Transportation Commission, as well as the commission meeting since the last time we did this. Nothing particular that I would report from that, looking at the agendas. I also attended the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District Board meeting. I had been appointed chair of its Finance Committee a few meetings ago. It met ahead of this last meeting to review next year's proposed budget. It's projected to be in surplus. With that surplus, provisionally allocated to various reserves, so it's in good financial shape. And yeah, nothing else particular.
Thank you for not bringing your friend with you.
My little friend.
Okay. Last week, I was fortunate to go to Washington, D.C. From the Housing Authority to attend the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. It was a 3-day conference, which included one lobbying day on Capitol Hill. It was extremely interesting hearing the perspective of the federal government on housing. This afternoon, Nicole and I met via Zoom with Buffy Wick's staff to talk about some Albany issues. I've met a few times with Supervisor Bass and her staff. We attended the North County Home Together meeting, and then I attended a regional public safety meeting. And actually tomorrow I'll be going to Palo Alto for a mayor's roundtable on anti-Semitism. I'll report back on that. Future agenda items, just a reminder to council and the public, this is the time to suggest items, not to debate them. Remember, Mickey, you look like you're jumping to have an agenda item.
No, I'm good.
Is there any public on this? Okay, the upcoming meetings and events are on the website, and we will adjourn. Tonight, we are adjourning in memory of Catherine DeCure. She's a longtime Albany resident who recently passed away. She was the wife of Peter Goodman and the mother of David Schaefer and Daniel Goodman, both graduates of Albany High School. She earned a master's in arts and theater from UC Riverside. An accomplished author, she published numerous short stories in literary magazines, many of them taking place in diners and tired towns in California's Central Valley. During the time her children attended Albany Middle School, Kathy served as head of the PTA. She and Peter visited her son Daniel in Uruguay many, many times, and she even climbed Machu Picchu. Converting to Judaism with her bas mitzvah in 2014, she became an active member of Temple Sinai in Oakland, where she occasionally acted as a cantorial soloist during services. She was well known for singing with the Albany Jazz Band and then with the jazz group, often at small restaurants and venues in Albany. She had a prodigious memory for lyrics and had several hundred songs in her book, mostly from the Great American Songbook, but with some in French, Spanish, Portuguese, and even Japanese. I was fortunate enough to attend one of her backyard concerts a few years ago, and she had an amazing voice, an amazing presence in that realm. And I think a friend of hers said it best. She was kind, gentle, loving, talented, and a lively person. And with that, we are adjourned.